Welcome to the Foundry by Forge College. If you were with us for our last explainer, you know we dug into functional dependencies and timestamp risks. Well, today, we're taking those concepts and dialing them up to 11. We're looking at composed attack vectors and race chaining. It sounds like a cyberpunk thriller, right? But honestly, in smart contract security, this is exactly how the biggest digital heists go down. We're stepping past those isolated vulnerabilities and getting into the beautifully chaotic world where hackers get super creative. Let's get to it.
So what exactly happens when a bunch of small, kind of annoying bugs decide to team up? Picture a classic bank heist. The robber doesn't show up with a tank or a master key. Instead, they string together tiny flaws. A stolen keycard here, a security camera with a 5-second delay there, and oh look, someone wedged the side door open with a coffee cup. On their own, barely a blip on the security radar. A dropped keycard is just annoying. But if you sequence them perfectly, you swipe the card exactly when the camera lags and slip right through that prop door. Boom. Devastating exploit. Smart contract bugs work the exact same way, just with fewer ski masks.
Here is our blueprint for the job. We'll start with the briefing, sketch out the blueprint, assemble our digital crew, execute the actual attack, inspect the damage, and then, most importantly, figure out how to break the chain.
All right, part 1, the briefing. Let's look at how attackers actually amplify their impact.
You can really see the contrast when you lay it out like this. On one side, isolated bugs. A minor timestamp dependency is a nuisance, right? Limited impact, usually caught by a quick automated audit. But then you have composed attacks. This is where an attacker takes multiple weak points and orchestrates them. They manipulate the contract state to drain funds in ways a single bug could literally never pull off. By linking these transactions, the damage just goes through the roof. It is no longer just a coding error. It is a meticulously drafted sequence of logic being turned entirely against itself.
Moving on to the blueprint, let's look at the actual anatomy of this chain. To pull this off, the attacker needs two very specific tools.
Tool number 1 is a functional dependency. This happens when one function writes a state and a later call just completely trusts it without checking. Going back to our bank analogy, this is the propped open vault door. The first function props it open, and later on the bank manager just walks right in, assuming everything's fine because, well, the door was open. It just blindly trusts the prior state.
Tool number 2 is the race condition. This is where different actors are literally competing in a super tight timing window to alter the state before anyone else gets there. If the functional dependency is our propped open door, the race condition is the attacker sprinting full speed to slip through the gap before the guard turns around. When you combine that open door with the sprint, you've got the perfect setup for a composed attack. Okay, step 3, assembling the crew. Let's build our sandbox. If you're going through the tracks at Forge College, you already know pro hackers always build a local test environment first.
We're setting up our local Foundry or hard hat environment with 3 main files. First up is the victim contract. This is our target, and it exposes 2 functions, set phase and execute. Next is the attacker contract, which is our crew, built specifically to force reentrancy and race the state. Finally, our composed attack test file. This is the master plan, the JavaScript file that actually orchestrates the concurrent transactions so everything fires exactly on cue.
But before we hit run, you need to see the fatal flaw in our victim contract. The core problem is that the execute function totally trusts whatever phase was previously written. It doesn't recheck the phase, it doesn't verify the caller, nothing. It is a massive functional dependency just sitting there waiting to be exploited. All right, the files are in place, the simulation is rigged. Section 4, the execution. Time to run this step by step.
Here is the exact choreography of the heist. Step 1. A completely honest actor tries to play by the rules and sets a safe phase. Let's call it phase 1. But step 2, our attacker is lurking in the mempool. They simultaneously race a transaction to inject a malicious phase, phase 9. Then, step 3. Before that honest transaction can lock in and secure the state, the attacker immediately triggers the execute function.
Let's map that out on a timeline. At time 0, both transactions hit the mempool. Now, because we are in a local sandbox, we basically have God mode. At time 1, we use tools like EVM mine to deterministically control the mining window. We are literally dictating the block timing so that at time 2, our attacker's transaction gets mined first. By time 3, execute runs, but it runs with the corrupted phase 9 state. The attacker wins the race every single time.
The blocks are mined and the dust has settled. Let's move to step 5 and inspect the damage. Did the crew actually pull it off?
If we look closely at the event logs, the answer is yep.
The honest phase set 1 event, completely overwritten during that critical window. Instead, staring right back at us is phase set 9, emitted by the attacker. And immediately after, the execute called event triggers using that exact malicious state. The timing window was perfectly breached.
To be absolutely sure, we check our on-chain storage with our JavaScript test. We expect the victim's phase to equal 9. The test runs, and it passes. The corrupted state is locked in, and the heist is a total success. By combining 2 tiny, seemingly harmless bugs, we manipulated the entire state of the contract.
Now for the most important part, breaking the chain. We aren't just here to steal testnet tokens in a sandbox. How do we actually defend against this in the wild?
The really cool thing about composed attacks is that they are super fragile. Because they rely on such a specific sequence, breaking even a single link ruins the whole operation. You can do this by requiring stronger state rechecks. Don't just let execute trust the phase, make it verify it again. You can implement non-reentrant guards to stop the attacker looping back mid-execution. Or you can decouple time-dependent flows. Honestly, by applying just one of these fixes, the attacker's perfect sprint to that prop door ends with them slamming face first into a brick wall.
Knowing how these chains work is what really separates average developers from top-tier security experts. So I'll leave you with this. Look at your own code. Which link in the chain are you leaving exposed right now? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. To master these concepts and really secure your Web3 projects, head over to forge.college and join the community. Until next time, stay curious and keep those contracts secure.